Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, August 29th, 2023, Tuesday study session of the Pierce County Council. The time is 12:01 p.m. All members are present except for Council members Denson and Morrell. That brings us, and they are excused. Item number 2 is review of today's council meeting agenda. Ms. Long to brief the council.
Thank you and good afternoon. This is this afternoon's regular council meeting agenda. It is amended. We'll start with the consent agenda, and I did go over this yesterday. I'll highlight one thing that you did not see, though it was mentioned, and that's under B2. This is Resolution R 2023-133. This is on your consent agenda for scheduling, and this is amending a previously adopted resolution establishing meeting times for council retreats and committees of the whole for consideration of the budget during this year, 2023. This will not go to committee. The proposal is to introduce it today and then set the final for September 5th. So that's just a week away. This proposal is included in your packets because it's on a real short timeline. So you have the opportunity to review it right now if you'd like. And the other items we did talk about yesterday. So unless there are questions on the consent agenda, I'll continue. There is one proclamation under section 7, and that's Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in Pierce County. And this will be read by Councilmember Hitchen. There are no ordinances on your agenda this afternoon. Under section 9, you do have 2 resolutions. The first is R 2023-120. This is establishing a policy and process for the display of art in council chambers and reception areas. There is one amendment, and Mr. Bridges did discuss this yesterday in study session. This received a due pass at rules on August 14th. And next is our 2023-127. This is setting the date of an evening District 6 council meeting. That will be Wednesday, September 27th at 6:30 at the DuPont City Council Chambers. And those are your agenda items for this afternoon's meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Long. Are there questions about this afternoon's council meeting agenda? As we discussed yesterday, there is one amendment as was briefed. Not seeing any questions or comments about today's council meeting agenda. So that moves us to item 3, external boards and commissions. Mr. Swanson, anything to begin with today?
Thank you, Chair Mello. The Pierce County Regional Council is still a ways out. They'll start again towards the end of the month. The Puget Sound Regional Council is starting back up from their August hiatus next week. Wednesday will be the Economic Development District Board. There is not an agenda posted for that yet, but when that does get posted, we'll get that distributed to Councilmember Morrell. We'll get that out. And then Thursday of next week is the Growth Management Policy Board meeting. Also, no agenda is posted for that yet, but we will get Councilmember Denson that as soon as that does get posted. And then they're back to regular scheduling going in September. So the Transportation Policy Board will be the following week, and then they'll be on their regular rotation again through the end of the year.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Do other members have any external boards or commission updates? Councilmember Morrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was able to sit in as the alternate for the South Sound 911 meeting. We approved the 2024 budget, which includes a revenue estimate about 57.3 million, which over 80% goes to salaries. The rest goes to operational cost and capital improvements and moves money into reserves. They did highlight that tax revenue projection is a little bit lower than what they anticipated. So they adjusted their budget accordingly. And other than that, informative meeting, Councilmember Rumbaugh was gathering information pertaining to gun violence in Pierce County. And they were trying to put the information that 911 gets to establish how many guns are used in crimes in Pierce County and mainly in Tacoma. So that'll be interesting to see how that information comes forward also. And I didn't get to listen to the Human Services meeting today where you talked about 988.
That's next week.
Oh, was it next week? God, I didn't miss it. There was a discussion about how 988 works in conjunction with 211 and why there are two different operations going on. And so I'll be getting more information on that from Deborah Grady, the executive director, as far as how that program is run. I'll listen in to Human Services to listen to that presentation. But other than that, state audit, last one they had was 2020, and they're on track to do 2023 will be the next one. So other than that, they're doing fine. They do have in training about a half a dozen dispatchers. That's been one of their challenge, focusing more on the mental health of their employees. And so it seems like they've got some good things going on right now. So that's my update on South Sound 911.
Thank you for covering that and for the update on the South Sound 911 board. Vice Chair Campbell.
Follow up on that, and I didn't fully catch what you were saying, that South Sound 911 is doing a study of, is it like the 911 calls they get with gun violence, gun usage? What could you explain that a little bit more?
Committee member Rumbaugh had requested that she gets the data on 911 calls that involve gun violence. So she wanted the information, and they were gonna put it together for her.
Okay. And was this countywide that it was going to be put South Sound 911 wide, or just within city of Tacoma?
It was just committee member Rumbaugh wanting that information. She is
Well, but
yeah, she just had requested it. She was also chairing a survey work group on how the community viewed 911. But this was on another subject that she wanted that information.
okay, I might follow up with you offline because it looks, but pulling it, you don't know if it's going to be pulled together countywide. Is it just calls for service? Is it actual confirmed cases of gun violence? Is it looking at stolen weapons? Is it looking at reporting of stolen weapons? I mean, I think in Pierce County, there's every 30 minutes a gun stolen out of a vehicle. It's clearly how a lot of them are getting into hands. Is there anything about people being held responsible for securing weapons, anything like that? Or it's just straight up just data of calls for service?
Yeah, I'm quite sure
Yeah.
that.
I'm sorry, you were filling in. I'm sorry.
I'm just going, okay, you're right. I mean, it's a pretty broad, and it depends on how they classify all their information. And some calls don't respond that a gun is involved, even though the officer's report says there is a gun involved. So,
Well, and then there's several calls that go into South Sound 911 of gun use that an officer never even responds to, at least in where I live. A call to 911 over gun usage doesn't mean anyone shows up. I was just reading online today of someone who was shot. There was a youth on site who carries in his pocket a gun triage kit. Second time he's had a chance to use it. begins performing first aid still 15 minutes before ambulance got there to someone who was shot. And so it's not like it's an all-call emergency when we hear about guns through 911. As we have teenagers applying first aid and carrying basically battlefield treatment kits with them as they go about their daily lives. So it would be interesting to see what data is collected.
Okay, I'll do a follow-up. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for the update. Any other boards and commission updates by members? Councilmember Coover.
Thank you, Chair. I just had another question though on the prior discussion, just quickly, and I think it may have been answered in what all is being asked in gun violence, because I'm looking at stats that were sent to me that from 2001, of the 36 cases of manslaughter, only 5.6 included firearms. So I'm assuming there would be more included than just looking for gun use, or if that was even discussed.
From what year?
This was 2021.
2020.
That was the latest that my constituent could find. Came from Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. So anyway,
Thanks. Lots of interest
Yeah.
in the topic. And thank you, Councilmember Morel, for following up with the Cecil 911 to better understand what the information request was of Councilmember Rumbaugh. And there may be a desire for further enhanced information request after we better understand the original information request from Councilmember Rumbaugh. So thank you for helping us understand that. Vice Chair Campbell.
And my apologies, you were trying to put a cap on the conversation and I'm gonna peel it back just a hair, is that certainly we want to look at homicides, but the death of the person shouldn't be the only measure in which we use. The Tacoma police officer who was shot this last week was a very tragic incident, crime. But I wouldn't want to say because he didn't die that it didn't happen. And I get what you're getting at, but let us not let a fatal outcome be the only measure by which we look at people get injured with guns, because he's going to be traumatized for a long time. And this is a big issue that's beyond just dying, but being wounded is sometimes can carry a long scar. So,
there's many stats on different things. So anyway, thank you.
yeah, no, thank you. Sorry, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other boards and commission updates? Not seeing any. Item 4, Chair's topics. I just wanted to follow up from our conversation yesterday. Our chief of staff started the conversation about our budget calendar and her work with her counterparts with executive departments. I had the opportunity to discuss with Executive Dan Meyer personally this morning in our regular face-to-face meeting about our budget plan and reorienting our budget schedule. He was very enthusiastic about the schedule that we had talked about in detail yesterday, and saw a lot of value in how to go about the budget calendar and the budget presentation. So he very much welcomed that opportunity to have him and his departments answer our questions and showcase his budget proposal to us earlier in the process. So just wanted to reflect back on that communication. I will be sending out a letter on behalf of the council to the executive before the end of business today. My intention is to not get ahead of the council, because I know our budget calendar resolution isn't up until next week, Tuesday. But my intention is we have to get a communication to the executive so he and the departments can start planning and calendaring. And of course, the letter will always be subject to change. The council can always change their mind, reorient. If the letter doesn't get so specific that says these departments come on these days, it's not that specific yet. But did want council to know that a written communication was going to go to the executive branch today. Twofold: one, releasing our budget calendar and what the expectation was on our budget calendar, and making executive departments fully available during the budget season to council. And the second part of the letter is communicating to the executive and executive departments that the council will not be prioritizing legislation not related to the budget during the budget time. We will be focusing our time on the budget during budget time. Of course, if there's something of great interest and significance to the legislative branch, we can always take something up, but we're trying to really communicate to the executive branch that we need to stay focused on budget through budget adoption and making sure they're aware of that. So that will be going out before the close of business today on our behalf. Item number 5 is other business. There's 2 proclamations for review. Blue Zones proclamation being brought forward by Vice Chair Campbell and Councilmember Hitchin. And also National Preparedness Month, a proclamation that is being proposed by Councilmember Denson also for next Tuesday. You can see the content of those at the end of our packet today. And please get with those members if you have any suggested edits to those members who are sponsoring that those proclamations. Is there any other business by members? Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. Just for members of staff and for Councilmember Morale, I put a Narcan kit in your box and I put one in Councilmember Denson's. And then I put 2 in the emergency cupboard in the front office where it says the evacuation stuff is. So if we had to evacuate, it's right there. So there's not a lot of room in our kits back there. So I just kind of figured public facing, if there was an emergency in chambers out front, makes a lot of sense. So, and we are going to attempt to try and pull that clip and create it a shortened version of it, not the whole meeting, and get it pushed out on Thursday, which is Overdose Awareness Day. So we're going to try. So thank you, Chair.
It's a great idea. Thank you for helping to get the word out. It was much easier to understand than I was anticipating. So
It's pretty easy. It's like nose spray
it's like,
because it's what it is.
yeah. Any other business by members? Not seeing any. Ms. Long, any other business for council?
Not from staff, thank you.
Seeing no other business before the Pierce County Council on Tuesday study session, we are adjourned.